Now, the rest of the story.
Welcome back to the rest of the story. I gotta get the 82 back on the 569. We have a combination of hay and fodder to get baled today. So the hay is kind of green yet, which is exactly why I want to do it with the 569, because it's got that inner rotor in there that'll help it feed better. But for how green the hay looks, I mean, it was post frost, but I'll be dropping the size down to probably like 4.5 size bales just so we can pick them up and get them hauled back home so Ryan can get them wrapped, because it's Ryan's hay. We got everything that I chopped the other night at the home farm as far as fodder goes. That is going through and getting raked up right now. So I don't know, probably 150, hopefully 100 to 150 bales today. So everything that we're getting raked right now in regards to fodder is the stuff I'll most likely be using for my cows. So if you guys remember back at the beginning of the summer, I wanted to put the 82 on the baler, much like I do right now. So the drawbar has a pretty good sized pinhole on it, and this is the drawbar that's meant for the round baler. So you notice a difference there? So I ended up coming up with a spacer and ran it all summer. The only issues I see is that the wear and tear right in my thumb here, it's got a little bit of a lip started, but overall not bad, because I got another one of these over in the parts bin if I absolutely need it. So what happens is I drop that down in, and that'll take up the slack on the drawbar. So no, the 82 is still here. People ask where it's at and what it's up to, you know, like it's hanging out with all of its buddies. I don't see much point in putting it on a grain cart. We harvested all of our beans with the 76 and the 46 and those carts, and saved the hours on the high horsepower tractor. It's actually suited for the round baler because it's got the integrated monitor. And also, once we get done with that, we can switch it back over to the deer chisel, and we could start doing some chisel plowing immediately if we really wanted to. Have some manure we want to get moved out. But I'm getting off topic because the spacer has to sit down in the drawbar as I'm hooking onto the baler. So I don't think I really showed it last time, or maybe I did. But what I did is put a piece of duct tape, that's right, the handyman's secret weapon, and the dogs are going to come help. By putting that in there like that, I can hook up to the baler relatively easy. I can still get that plastic hitch saver on here too, but then once I get it in, I can take the pin, drop the pin in, and I just grab this piece of duct tape and I can yank it out. It's a very simple solution to a could be tricky problem if you let it. We did have issues with the adapter also. This is 1,000. The 82 has a large 1,000, so we have to have an adapter from the large to the small. Well, there's 2 set screws that cinch down in that adapter to that drawbar. Well, after making a few hundred bales, several hundred bales now, I believe this baler is done, that adapter had worked loose, and it actually ground out grooves in those set screws. So that has been remedied. We got that all fixed. I'm gonna go and grease this really quick while I have access to it, get the baler all greased, hook the 82 up. I got finally gonna have the opportunity to use up my odd roll of net wrap, which I'm sure I could have used it for making hay, but I bought this on auction last year. It's cheaper than what if I would have had to go buy it brand new, and you can tell it's sat here a while. It's the gray or the white with an orange stripe down it. It's not as, doesn't have as many feet in it as the deer rolls, but I still picked it up for a bit less than what I could have bought it for brand new. And I figured, you know, corn fodder. I mean, if it doesn't want to wrap perfect or anything, When it comes to the hay, I do like having our hay wrapped pretty well perfect, as you know, it's completely wrapped all the way to the edges. And the deer, don't you do that, the deer wrap is a lot more consistent. I don't have a whole lot of interest in doing the cover edge. The amount of net wrap I pulled out off of the bearings on that 569 that was from the cover edge wrap has convinced me I don't want to deal with this stuff. I mean, I considered maybe a roll, but I just never got to it. So I'll get caught up to you guys when I go start baling, which it's 10:30. If I get going by noon, I should be fine. And then, on the 569, this was like a brand new roller chain. I was telling you about this. I made the last 30 bales down at the valley, which they were tough. Can you guys tell just by looking at them which one of these 3 chains had gotten just slightly hot? And this was a new chain after first cut, and it really hasn't made a whole lot of hay. I was told to check my alignment on it, and I can run a straight edge from here up to here, and it's lined up good. I don't know what to tell you, to be completely honest. I mean, I've never actually had a chain heat up like that before, not to this degree. I mean, there's some impacting right here, it looks like. Where would it be impacting? I mean, you guys can see that, right? Huh. I don't know, maybe it just got that hot and I'm lucky the baler didn't go up. Let's just go with that. So I don't, as of right now, the way she sits, I think the 566 is done for the year. Not that I'm against using it for fodder. I don't really have any issue with it. All you gotta do is take out that pressure spring bar so it'll feed in better. But with the 76 on the rake, the 46 is currently on the grain cart. So I only got one baling tractor available, which happens to be the 82, and that is set to go to the 569. I was told when I bought it that these were really meant to be fodder balers. So I guess we're about to find out. I just dropped off bale 76. Sun's getting low, and I'm on the last strip at Rockville to get made. I was aiming for 100 bales minimum. I thought I was gonna like way surpass that, and we're gonna end up being short, which I don't think is the end of the world. Depending on how short we are is gonna help determine what we decide to do about it. We have to make 2 more farms yet. So that way we have bedding for each of the 3 herds. I don't necessarily know if I need 100 bales. My intentions were I'd rather make too many than not have enough. And Ryan was gonna bring the wrapper over and we were gonna wrap 50 of them with the intentions that I would feed those late winter, early spring before it starts to warm up, or at least, at the very least, you know, get them unwrapped and put inside so they're at least out of the weather. Because good quality fodder bales into next summer, the cows will eat just as good as they eat them when they're fresh right out of the field. And the first thing they do is they try to find all the ears of corn in them that they can, so that kind of helps too. Making sure I'm not hearing any ominous squeaking. You want them to kind of spread them out anyway for bedding, so that when they go through and tear them apart, I mean, they're getting all the use out of them that you want. They're getting what little feed they can find, and then they lay on the rest. I'm not going through, it's we're not taking 100% of the residue that's here off the field, which is probably affecting the amount of bales I'm getting off of here. I mean, I'm making 60-inch bales, wrapping them 4 times, and I have to. We ended up making that hay for my brother, which it was essentially silage. And that was the culprit, a lot of the issues I was dealing with the last roll and the net wrap I had in, because I had to go through 4 separate times and clean off that back roller that the net wrap runs around, because I was getting a bunch of the juice from the alfalfa had built up on the rolls, and it just turns to clay. And it was catching the net wrap that was trying to be fed into the baler, and subsequently, that's a new one, it was catching on the back roll. The problem with the design of these balers is, as long as the net wrap had been fed out, it doesn't sense that on the back end, so it's telling you you're good to go, let it out. Well, the problem with that is I had the kicker on. That's right, I was running the kicker, and it did all right when you wrap it 4 times, especially like even on the stalks like this. It keeps the bales from, you know, tearing themselves apart. The problem is, if I get one of those bales where it doesn't wrap like a foot or 2 of that bale, that kicker just sends it everywhere and just makes a mess. Dad had 3 of these bales. He ended up busting back open and spreading out, and I was at least able to bale it again. But I really wasn't too impressed by that. And maybe it'd be all right now. I mean, I switched over to this other roll of net wrap, and I haven't had any issues yet, and that was an hour ago. It's just, I don't want to deal with it. I'm actually a lot more comfortable doing exactly what I'm doing. I'm backing up. I'm turning the baler. That's right. You turn the baler, offset it a little bit so you don't have to worry about the bale taking off on you, because I made 40 bales like that. And where I was making them, it didn't matter if they rolled for 500 feet. But it does get a little bit annoying, and does prove my point, or make my point, as to why I really don't want to use the kicker. Because if you got crops standing on either side of you in the field, or like down at the hay valley, I just would really hate to see something end up in the river, or go through a fence, or require a rescue operation just to get it retrieved wherever it landed, you know. So the 569 is a champ. Outside of a couple annoying issues, which I'm pretty sure were associated with making that alfalfa for my brother, it's fine. If I don't get 100 bales here, it's fine. I'll just make a few more at my brother's place or down at my place, and I can haul up a load or 2. That's no big deal. I'm gonna keep hitting this GoPro on until I can get at least a video put together. But it isn't gonna be end of the world if I have to haul up a load or 2 to get me my approximate 100 bales. I'm only gonna have, well, I got 16 cows plus the calves plus the bulls, and like I said, I can make more down at my place pretty easy. I got plenty of bed pack from last year I can spread on everywhere where we got the stalks made. So it's, at least we're leaving some residue, and we're not just taking it all, so we're at least leaving some of those nutrients in these plants on the ground. But the 569 being a baler for heavy material, for corn fodder, for being a corn fodder baler, I think so. The 82, I was told this summer by a local, not somebody on here, but by a local, that the 82 is just way too much for running on a baler, and it's, you know, 100 horsepower tractor could do the job just fine. I wouldn't want to drag this thing around the field with the 40/20. I probably could, maybe first or second gear, and we're proving more and more that 40/20, which at one point was the tillage tractor, the high horsepower main horse for my grandpa's operation at one point in time, we're getting right to the point of a lot of our implements that we're hooking up to it can really push that tractor around without a whole lot of effort. I mean, Ryan got into a bad situation with the manure spreader in the 40/20 this spring, and yeah, granted he was out on the pasture, but I would really wouldn't want to try baling with this thing with some of these heavy bales I'm spitting out. The 82 is actually, I've actually worked the 82 trying to make hay or make bales with this baler. I mean, there's a lot more going on up front. It's spinning that extra rotor in there, plus the pickup, plus the bales. It's a heavy baler. I mean, all the chains are twice the size of what's in the 566. And, you know, I'd rather have something too big than too small. And the 82, I honestly feel, out of all four of our tractors, I honestly think the 82 is the best match for this baler. The 76 does all right on the 566, but even so, that tractor is turned up. It's only supposed to be 115 horse. It's putting out 140, and trying to pull that 566 around some of those hills and even around some of our pastures, it makes that tractor grunt. So I'm really gonna sit and debate about who should be driving what, but I really feel like it really should just be the operator's personal preference, or it's all you got, right? I mean, the problem with putting the 46 on a baler, we ran it on a baler for a year or two there. I didn't really like it because, like this and the 76, they're power shift. The 46, it's a quad range or power quad, or however you want to say it, and it just makes for that much of a longer day trying to shift that or trying to get into a gear that you want to be in that is going the speed that you want. So it is just nice for where our operation is now anymore. We're starting to get around machines that our operation is really calling for. Bigger combine, bigger corn head, bigger bean head, a second baler. Yes, a second baler. I mean, this is probably going to be my primary. I mean, it is my primary. And no, I really don't want to get rid of that 566 because we've had instances where this baler has gone down and the 566 got called to duty, and it actually picked up the slack for this baler. So with the amount of material that we're making, granted in the grand picture for a lot of people, we're probably not making a fraction of what they're making themselves, but when you're fighting weather and you're in a time crunch, having a baler go down, which is what's happened to me the last 2 years now, 3 years, usually when you're trying to get done with one of your cuttings, first, second, or third, and you're left short 20 bales from the finish line. So it's worth the extra expense, the extra maintenance, having this extra baler. More reliable baler. So I know the bearings and everything on it are, I guess, stupid expensive. It's worth it. It's the extra expenses you got to pay to be able to do your job efficiently. Point in case, the 9770, she is a thirsty girl. 250 gallon fuel tank if you run it all the way out. the thing is, we can run it, run a full tank out of it, and we're doing probably the equivalent of 3 tank fulls on the 9510. When it comes to these kind of machines, people really aren't worried about what fuel use is going to be. Yellow.